Thank you, Andy. Right, it's a great pleasure to be asked to speak at the Dundee sporting landscape, which is what I'm trying to do this evening. That landscape features and has featured a rich variety of stars and a wide variety of sports. I've got to say that in 30 years of BBC Scotland sport, I covered a great many occasions, but in truth, we were often far too focused simply on football to the detriment of other sports where there was much less money for the participants, but many times more effort being expended by them than the football people. The 2014 Comedy Games was a case in point for BBC. Usually the BBC Network, BBC Britain I might call it, covered the major games because they had specialists doing that. But BBC Radio Scotland decided we would go it alone, which was noble, brave, and as it happens, extremely misguided. We just didn't have the expertise, and I certainly didn't in many of the sports. I found myself at one stage covering weightlifting with Eve Muirhead and the boxer Alex Arthur. I'm not sure which of the three of us knew less about it. I was certainly a leading contender. But my limitations were most cruelly exposed during my commentary at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome. Working on the basis that Spence Jr. had been a track cyclist at Discovery Juniors at Keir Park, BBC High-Hegians assumed that I would have a profound knowledge of the sport. So they picked me to cover the track match sprint, another major mistake. So I took Spence Jr. with me, which came in very, very handy, because as the commentary developed, and I struggled for the technical terms, because it's a very difficult sport to understand, Scotland were up against the Aussies, and I was in my full stride. Scotland, running round the track here, running round the track, on the last bend, Scotland are through, Scotland have won, they've won. My young lad tapped me on the shoulder and said, "That is the best of three." What could you do but laugh, you know? But the sporting landscape in the city has changed, like the city itself, through the years. But what's not altered are the characteristics of the men and the women who placed the city on the sporting map. Because I think that's the real test. If you place the city on the sporting map, you know, in Britain and further wide throughout the world. And we have people who have done that. The desire, the determination, the drive, the hunger to be the best has witnessed this city produce great competitors. From as far back as the 1928 Olympics, when Sutty Smith competed in Amsterdam in the 10,000 metres, and City Stewart competed in the swimming pool, through to the 30s, when the boxer Jim Brady won the British Empire Bantamweight title, to the present day, Dundee has produced many, many fine ambassadors in many sports. The Olympic gold, I think, is the pinnacle of achievement. And the Dundee boxer Dick McTaggart, former pupil of St Michael's Secondary, who brought gold home from Melbourne in 1956. One of 5 boxing brothers from Dundee, he earned his place on the 56th Olympic team by winning ABA lightweight title. He had 3 pretty easy victories in Melbourne, but he had a difficult time in the final against the German Harry Gulshad. But he won the gold medal, and he also returned with the Val Barker Trophy as the outstanding stylist of the Games. 634 fights, 610 wins, and only 24 losses led to him being placed at 6th in a poll of the world's top amateur boxers of all time. I'd have put him at number 1, but I'm biased. In athletics, we've heard of Liz McColgan. She put Dundee firmly on the map, winning the gold in the 10,000 metres at the 91 World Championships, silver over the same distance at the 98 Olympic Games. There are many achievements are too numerous to mention. Among them, 3 victories at the World Marathon Majors, New York, Tokyo and London. And in Ailish, a Dundee High alumni, she's followed proudly in her mum's footsteps in her own right, achieving remarkable things. 2022 Commonwealth Games, 10,000 metres champion with the Games record, 5,000 metres silver medalist, a 4-time European Championship medalist. Those are only the briefest of outlines of many achievements of McTaggart and both of the McColgans. In rugby, former Dundee High pupils, Mary Leslie and Andy Nicol, 32 and 23 Scotland caps respectively, have carried the flag proudly for the city in the World Ball Game. Frank Haddon coached the Scottish national team to victories over France in his first Six Nations match, and he coached the team to victory over the Old Enemy in the Calcutta Cup in 2006. In cycling, Mark Stewart, a a former St John's High School pupil, started at the Scully Juniors at Care Park Velodrome, now named after him. He abruptly won the gold in the Commonwealth Games at the Gold Coast in 2018 in the points race. And a man I always feel is dramatically underestimated in this city, in wrestling. Not the most popular sport nowadays, but at one time with Kent Walton on a Saturday afternoon, if you're old enough to remember it, on the telly. George Kidd, a Stonewall secondary pupil, regarded as the finest technical wrestler of the post-war era. The World Lightweight Championship title was held by him from 1951. He held it successfully for 27 years, defending it 49 times. In a career spanning over 1,000 bouts, he lost only 7 times. In boxing, there's always been a proud tradition of the noble art in the city. Sam Hickey, St John's High School pupil, won the gold medal at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in the middleweight division, the first boxer from Dundee to win gold since the legendary Dick McTaggart. And in the pro ranks back in the 30s and 40s, from the days of Premier Land, when Dundee was one of the major UK fight cities, Jim Brady held the British Empire Bantamweight title. The city's always been a big ice hockey town. And among the giants is the late Marshall Key, a Morgan Academy alumni, an inductee to the British Ice Hockey Hall of Fame in 2007. He was once apparently hired to try to teach Charlie Chaplin's son to skate. Apparently it was a disaster. Unlike his career, which was phenomenal. His career started playing and coaching, and it spanned from his debut, age 16 for the Dundee Tigers in 1948, to his retirement in 1971. He played 506 pro games between Dundee Tigers, Haringey Racers in London, Edinburgh Royals and Paisley Pirates, and he captained the GB side at the Pro B World Championships in Finland. In field hockey, Dundee's Nell Scott, a former Morgan Academy man, had a glittering career, accumulating 251 caps between Great Britain and Scotland appearances, and appearing at the Olympics in 2004 and at the Commonwealth Games in 2006, 10 and 14, having played club hockey for Dundee Wanderers, Kelvin and UHC in Hamburg. And the former Harris Academy pupil, Pauline Stott, I don't think she was of any relation to now, a double Olympian and captain of Great Britain's Millennium Squad at Sydney 2000 Games. Awarded an MBE, she garnered 200 combined appearances on her way around the globe, wearing the colours of Scotland and Great Britain. The only Scot ever to captain GB at the Olympics. Pauline played for Grove, Neas Hill. Now, it wouldn't be sport if I didn't mention football, but I've left it to the last because, as I said at the start, sometimes it is far too much publicity, but it's impossible to ignore what has happened in the city historically. From a town which witnessed Dundee FC reach the semi-finals of both European Cup and the old European Inter-Cities Cup, and United reached the semi-finals of the European Cup and the final of the UEFA Cup, there are no shortage of great footballers. From Jackie Beattie, who started in what became known as the Matthews final when he helped Blackpool to win the FA Cup in 1953, to Dave Mary, Sash as he was known. No, my friends in the West always assumed there was some kind of different meaning to that. And I had to point out to know, he was such a good looking boy, he was named after Sasha Distel, that's the reason it's called Sash. 872 appearances for United, 35 caps for Scotland, and remember, probably best among non-United fans, for a spectacular goal against Brazil in the 1982 World Cup, which got them very, very annoyed, you might remember. They went on to thump us 4-1. But he won the league, he won 2 league cups with United, as well as playing at the World Cup in Mexico in '86 and in the European Cup semi and UEFA Cup final. The great Bobby Cox, skipper of the Dundee League winning side in 61-62, which also went on to the semi-final of the European Cup, losing to AC Milan. 434 appearances and scandalously no full Scotland cap. And Peter Lorimer, who made 707 appearances in 2 spells with Leeds, 238 goals, the club's all-time record goal scorer, the boy from Broughty Ferry. And finally, there's a thriving karate scene in Dundee, as we know. Karate was spread across the city by Paul Dempsey, who, along with his father Pat, invited the famous Japanese masters to come to the city and teach in the 60s, the 70s and the 80s. And this laid the groundwork, the very foundations for the present day generation of karate athletes who've done so well in national and international competitions. Now that's only a brief snapshot of the city's sporting history. There are too many others to mention who also deserve recognition in the pantheon of our sporting greats. Among them are also the coaches and the parents and the volunteers who put in incalculable hours for little acknowledgement from all of those closest to them. It's always the way of things. So to all our Dundee sporting greats, past, present and yet to come, I salute them all. Thank you. And now, Willie will be doing the auction later on, but I have a special prize which Andy